Aging is inevitable, but that doesn't mean you have to give up the activities you enjoy. This holiday season, talk with your family members about ways everyone can build healthy habits that help support brain health. Visit stayingsharp.org/health.
A new year, and on the horizon, a blossoming romance awaits. It is an undeniable fact that love knows no age or timeline and can happen at any stage of a person's life. In this episode, we will unravel the intriguing story of Andre Brown, a 55-year-old veteran known for his adventurous and fun-loving spirit. What happens when love becomes fatal? This is the Fatal Attraction Podcast with Fool Me Twice.
They were two free spirits who had finally found happiness.
They seemed like they were in love.
This could have been a fairy tale ending.
Until a horrifying crime robbed them of their happily ever after.
This guy that owed him some money and he stabbed him.
It went through his aorta.
There was substantial internal bleeding.
I'm begging you to come right now, please.
Police moved quickly to apprehend the killer.
She can ID the suspect.
Detectives have probable cause for the arrest.
This was a straightforward homicide case. Open and shut.
But do they have the wrong man?
She was concerned she had ratted him out.
His story's not adding up.
Everything was becoming a red flag.
As the investigation unfolds, there will be a new twist around every turn.
The magnitude of the dishonesty in this case was truly astounding.
What started out so simple became a web of lies.
I'm like, what the hell happened?
January 2nd, 2017. It's the day after New Year's in Des Moines, Iowa, a modest Midwestern city of 200,000.
It's a great place to live. You know, you have the conveniences of a large city, but it really does still feel like a small community.
You can still get to know your neighbors, walk around at night, and not have to worry about crime.
But no city is entirely safe. At 2:30 that afternoon, a Des Moines emergency operator receives an urgent 911 call.
The woman making the call reported that her live-in boyfriend had been stabbed and she needed an ambulance.
And he was arguing with his, I don't even know the guy, and stabbed him. Sorry.
Okay, where's the person that stabbed him at?
He's gone.
The victim is 55-year-old Andre Brown.
Is he breathing?
He's not doing anything. He's like, it's blood all over him.
The frantic woman on the phone is 52-year-old Helen Frazier.
I'm begging you to come right now, please.
The emergency dispatcher contacts first responders.
Both police officers and an ambulance is dispatched to the scene.
Within minutes, the first officer arrives.
She could hear someone in the doorway saying, "In here, I'm in here."
Just past the living room, the officer finds Helen kneeling next to Andre.
The officer began to ask where the suspect was. And Helen told her that he had ran out the door. So at that point, she just decided to render aid to the victim.
But as help arrived, too late.
They initiate CPR. The officer noticed that, he's gone. Like, she knew already that he was dead.
Chicago native Andre Brown never shied away from adventure.
Andre Brown was a veteran. He had been a Marine.
He was in Okinawa. He went all over the place. He did a lot of traveling.
Andre stayed on the move once he left the service, too.
Never liked staying in one place for too long.
He would get antsy if he stayed at a job too long. Andre always liked new adventures.
And Andre, more than anything, loved the ladies.
Andre was a bit of a ladies' man. He never settled down.
He would be in relationships, but Andre just did not want to marry anybody. I think he felt like it was going to constrain him.
He loved to joke around and make everyone in the room laugh.
He just loved to have fun, loved to dance, let him get a couple beers in him. He was on the floor dancing.
After years of drifting from job to job, woman to woman, and town to town, Andre eventually settled in Des Moines, Iowa.
A lot of people migrate from Chicago to Des Moines.
He just felt free in Iowa, you know? Nobody's mothering him.
Andre got a job, bought a house, and settled into a quiet life.
Andre being a vet, he was able to get the veterans to help him.
His most recent job was working at a factory. He was actually promoted to a supervisor position.
He found a local bar where he could hang out with friends after work. But there was something missing from his life.
He had a girlfriend, and they seemed to be in a good relationship. And then next thing I knew, they were not in a relationship.
In October of 2016, Andre seemed to rebound when he began dating 52-year-old Helen Frazier. Like Andre, Helen was originally from Chicago, but had lived in Des Moines for years, raised 3 sons, and had recently become a grandmother.
Helen adored her grandson. She loved playing with him, fussing over him. She would go into full grandmother mode whenever she saw him.
However, the doting grandmother had also known hard times.
Helen didn't have an easy life. She didn't really have stability. She had substance abuse, mainly alcohol. And, just when her life seemed like it was getting better, those demons always crept up to haunt her, and she ended up on the street.
In fact, when Helen first met Andre, she was living in a homeless shelter.
He told her, well, you come stay with me until you get yourself together.
Andre's no-strings-attached offer was a token of sympathy for Helen's situation.
He considered her a friend, and he was helping out a friend that was in a bad situation.
But it didn't take long before the friendship took a more romantic turn.
Helen moves in with Andre, and soon after that, they become more than just friends. They were falling in love with each other.
Andre's family was glad that he'd found someone.
He said she was cool. He said she was a nice person. She liked to cook, and Andre loved to eat.
Helen told them that she was going to do more than keep Andre well-fed.
She also joked with the family that she was going to keep Andre out of trouble.
Helen doted on Andre. She cooked, she cleaned, and they both provided a stability that they had never known before.
But as the new year begins, their blossoming romance is shattered by a horrific crime.
Please, ma'am, would you come?
On the afternoon of January 2nd, Helen calls 911 to report Andre had been stabbed.
Come on, you guys!
First responders were able to get to the scene relatively quickly. They found Andre on the ground on his back, and they saw Helen there, crying.
The officer began to do chest compressions just to get the blood flowing until the medics arrived.
Despite her efforts, Andre remains unresponsive.
It was clear to her that he was already dead.
The first officer is asking, where did the suspect go? Helen tells her immediately that he left.
But identifying their suspect won't be a problem.
Helen was able to give the police a good physical description.
She said he fled the area with the knife. So at this point, the police know that he's somebody they need to get off the streets.
Stay tuned as we navigate through the unpredictable twists and turns of this staggering episode.
Aging is inevitable, but that doesn't mean you have to give up the activities you enjoy. This holiday season, talk with your family members about ways everyone can build healthy habits that help support brain health. Visit stayingsharp.org/health.
To all the HBCU students making moves, listen up. For over 20 years, McDonald's has been at the side of college hopefuls. And with over $1 million in funding this year through the Black and Positively Golden Scholarship, Mickey D's is helping HBCU students rise and flourish into their graduating roles. This scholarship season, get ready to take your place when you apply for a McDonald's Black and Positively Golden Scholarship. Visit mcdblackscholars.com to apply now. Applications close on April 25th, 2025.
Hey, what's up? This is Alfreda's with the Urban One Podcast Network. Let me introduce you to today's sponsor, Chamberlain University. There's a pattern among successful people in any industry. They surround themselves with the right support. And in healthcare, that support starts at Chamberlain University. For over 130 years, Chamberlain has been helping nurses and healthcare professionals fulfill their calling. It's the largest nursing school in the country, offering flexible learning, real mentorship, and a network of over 160,000 professionals. Because progress isn't just about working harder. It's about having the right people in your corner. You got this, and Chamberlain has got you. Get started at chamberlain.edu.Chamberlain University. Belong to something greater. Certified to operate by Chev.
At the beginning of 2017, it looked as if Helen Frazier had finally found lasting love and stability with 55-year-old Andre Brown.
Helen was really affectionate with Andre around her family. They just seemed to be head over heels in love with each other.
They were having a good time, and their relationship was only getting stronger.
Now, on January 2nd, less than 48 hours into the new year, a terrible crime has left the couple's happiness in ruins.
Andre Brown has been stabbed.
Helen calls 911, and police and an ambulance rush to the scene.
First responders arrived, and they initiated first aid.
Andre had essentially one injury, and it was a 6-inch deep stab wound to his right upper chest. Path of the knife cut through a lung, cut through his aorta, and Andre suffered a substantial amount of internal bleeding.
Unable to revive the victim at the scene, EMTs transport him to the nearest emergency room.
They brought him to the hospital, where he was pronounced dead.
With the case officially a homicide, police at the scene shift their priority to finding the man who stabbed him. Andre's girlfriend, Helen Frazier, has given them a description.
When the officer arrived, Helen had told her that the assailant just ran out the door shortly after stabbing Andre.
She was able to describe him, including the clothing he was wearing.
While patrol officers search the surrounding area for the suspect, homicide detectives arrive and begin their investigation.
The scene was unusually clean for a stabbing. Because most of Andre Brown's bleeding had been internal bleeding.
Everything in the house looks normal.
There was food on the stove, in the oven, and there was a sink full of dirty dishes.
And investigators find no obvious murder weapon.
They'll search a murder scene looking for whatever weapons are there. And in a stabbing case, they're particularly interested in knives.
They do take all of the knives from the drawers in the kitchen, and one submerged in water in the sink. They collect them for processing.
Then, after looking over the scene, detectives head back to the station to interview the sole witness to the crime.
Helen Frazier was already there. Patrol officers had already taken her there to get a statement from her.
They need to get her in a room and really develop as much as possible about what she saw and heard. So this is a critical part of this investigation.
So critical that detectives decide not to tell her that Andre is dead.
Have you heard anything about Andre? Is he gonna make it?
All we know is that they're at the hospital now, and as soon as we hear something, we'll let you know.
They wanted to get as much information out of her as they could without her shutting down if she knew Andre had died.
The detectives begin by asking Helen about her relationship with Andre.
How long have you known Andre?
Well, we met back in October, and we recently moved in together, and we were planning on getting married.
She told the police that Andre was her fiancé.
They were in love with each other.
Turning to the events leading up to the murder, Helen tells detectives she'd spent most of the morning in the kitchen.
She had been cooking food for a gathering that they were going to have later in the day.
She and Andre were intending to go visit her family.
They found like a pan of cornbread in the kitchen that looked like she may have been preparing.
Helen says that while she was working in the kitchen, Andre ran a quick errand.
Andre had gone to the nearby gas station and had bought some beer and then came back.
Shortly after Andre returned, a man named Oscar Evans knocked on the couple's door.
Oscar was a homeless man who was in his 70s.
Oscar Evans was supposedly a friend of Andre's.
Although according to Helen, that didn't mean Andre was happy to see him.
Oscar owed Andre money, and Andre had been upset about that in the past, so the two of them went out to the front porch to discuss the matter outside of Helen's earshot.
Helen says that Andre and Oscar moved back inside as the discussion turned into an argument.
That argument was over a debt, an $8 debt, and a coat that belonged to Helen.
This guy had borrowed a coat, and Andre got on him about bringing the coat back.
Helen said that she was in the kitchen cooking, but she could hear the two men arguing in the other room.
Did you see what happened?
No, I just heard them arguing, and then I heard a really loud thud.
She says she actually didn't see the stabbing.
Next, Helen says she went to the dining room to see what was going on.
She said that she could see Andre lying on the ground.
She also claims she saw Oscar Evans.
I saw him run out the door.
Did you get a good look at what he was wearing?
Yes, he had on a white shirt, a blue jacket, a black beanie, and he still had the knife in his hand.
Once detectives have Helen's statement, their next step is clear.
The police needed to look for this Oscar Evans guy.
There actually is a witness who knew the suspect and could identify him.
They're thinking, okay, this is gonna be a slam dunk.
Stay tuned as we navigate through the unpredictable twists and turns of this staggering episode.
Aging is inevitable, but that doesn't mean you have to give up the activities you enjoy. This holiday season, talk with your family members about ways everyone can build healthy habits that help support brain health. Visit stayingsharp.org/health.
To all the HBCU students making moves, listen up. For over 20 years, McDonald's has been at the side of college hopefuls. And with over $1 million in funding this year through the Black and Positively Golden Scholarship, Mickey D's is helping HBCU students rise and flourish into their graduating roles. This scholarship season, get ready to take your place when you apply for a McDonald's Black and Positively Golden Scholarship. Visit mcdblackscholars.com to apply now. Applications close on April 25th, 2025.
Hey, what's up? This is Alfreda's with the Urban One Podcast Network. Let me introduce you to today's sponsor, Chamberlain University. There's a pattern among successful people in any industry. They surround themselves with the right support. And in healthcare, that support starts at Chamberlain University. For over 130 years, Chamberlain has been helping nurses and healthcare professionals fulfill their calling. It's the largest nursing school in the country, offering flexible learning, real mentorship, and a network of over 160,000 professionals. Because progress isn't just about working harder. It's about having the right people in your corner. You got this, and Chamberlain has got you. Get started at chamberlain.edu.Chamberlain University. Belong to something greater. Certified to operate by Chev.
An hour after calling 911, Helen Frazier has identified the man who stabbed her boyfriend, Andre Brown, in the couple's Des Moines, Iowa home.
According to Helen, Andre's killer was a homeless man named Oscar Evans.
But Helen says that while Oscar and Andre were friends, they had an argument that day over money that Oscar had borrowed and never repaid.
She described the conversation between the two men. She described hearing Andre's body hit the floor and seeing the suspect just as he was leaving after the stabbing.
Once Helen names Oscar Evans as the suspect, detectives confirm his identity.
The officers showed a picture just to make sure that, it's the same person that Helen claimed, committed the crime.
Is this the man that you saw in your house this morning?
Yes, that's him.
With the suspect identified, detectives finally reveal what they've been keeping from Helen, the truth about Andre's status.
Andre's dead.
Throughout her interview with law enforcement, Helen had no idea that Andre had died. They waited to the very end of the interview to let her know that he had passed away.
The news hits Helen hard.
She was extremely distraught and crying.
After the interview, the detectives drive Helen to her son's house.
Helen clearly could not go back home because her house at that point was an active crime scene.
After dropping Helen off, Detectives reach out to Andre's family with news of his death.
My brother, my twin, came and knocked on my door, screaming, Andre is dead. I'm like, are you sure? He was like, some dude came by the house and killed Andre.
The detectives assure Andre's family it's only a matter of time before they have Andre's killer in custody.
When she identified Oscar as a suspect, police put out an APB to inform all their officers that they needed to find this man.
However, tracking Oscar down isn't easy.
Oscar was homeless, so even when they were able to ascertain past addresses, they were still having a difficult time being able to locate him.
Detectives comb the city looking for their suspect.
It took about 24 hours, but they found him at a nearby soup kitchen.
Brought into the station for questioning, Oscar doesn't deny knowing Andre and Helen.
He had actually stayed at Andre's house for a couple of days earlier that fall, in October of 2016. So he knew both Andre and he knew Helen.
I needed a place to stay a couple of months back, and Andre let me crash at his place for a couple of days.
Let him come and stay with him, loaning him money, clothes, you know. That was Andre. If he had it and you needed it, he'd give it to you.
Oscar admits that he had borrowed money from Andre.
Oscar told the police that he and Andre would lend each other money from time to time, and neither thought much of it.
What's this all about? It was only a couple of dollars.
When detectives tell Oscar that they're investigating Andre's murder, he appears shocked by the news.
What?
Oscar actually seemed surprised that Andre had died. He had not heard that information.
Oscar appears even more confused when detectives tell him a witness has identified him as Andre's killer.
No way, I would never hurt Andre.
He denied that he was the person who stabbed Andre.
Oscar also denies even being at Andre's house the day he was killed, claiming he spent the whole day at a local motel.
He got a check at the end of the month and was able to stay at a motel for a few days.
The only time he had left that day was either to go to a grocery store or a convenience store that was adjacent to where he was residing.
Can anybody verify?
When detectives ask if there's anyone who can verify his whereabouts at the time of the murder, Oscar suddenly comes up short.
I was alone. I swear I did not kill Andre.
He stayed in that motel room by himself, so he really didn't have any alibi witnesses that could corroborate where he was.
The lack of an alibi isn't the only reason detectives doubt Oscar's story.
The police did notice that the clothing that Oscar was wearing was very similar to the clothing that Helen had described.
Despite the suspect's denials, we had an eyewitness that saw that he was responsible for the death of Andre Brown.
At this point, the police consulted with the local district attorney's office and they decided to charge Oscar Evans with first-degree murder.
The detectives have made an arrest, but their investigation is just beginning.
Some might assume that once Oscar is arrested, the work is done, but that's far from true.
Is this case closed, or will new evidence turn the investigation upside down?
What initially appeared to be a clear-cut case, it was not clear-cut at all.
All of a sudden, detectives have had this wrench thrown at them, and they're wondering what's going on here.
Stay tuned as we navigate through the unpredictable twists and turns of this staggering episode.
Aging is inevitable, but that doesn't mean you have to give up the activities you enjoy. This holiday season, talk with your family members about ways everyone can build healthy habits that help support brain health. Visit stayingsharp.org/health.
To all the HBCU students making moves, listen up. For over 20 years, McDonald's has been at the side of college hopefuls. And with over $1 million in funding this year through the Black and Positively Golden Scholarship, Mickey D's is helping HBCU students rise and flourish into their graduating roles. This scholarship season, get ready to take your place when you apply for a McDonald's Black and Positively Golden Scholarship. Visit mcdblackscholars.com to apply now. Applications close on April 25th, 2025.
Hey, what's up? This is Alfreda's with the Urban One Podcast Network. Let me introduce you to today's sponsor, Chamberlain University. There's a pattern among successful people in any industry. They surround themselves with the right support. And in healthcare, that support starts at Chamberlain University. For over 130 years, Chamberlain has been helping nurses and healthcare professionals fulfill their calling. It's the largest nursing school in the country, offering flexible learning, real mentorship, and a network of over 160,000 professionals. Because progress isn't just about working harder. It's about having the right people in your corner. You got this, and Chamberlain has got you. Get started at chamberlain.edu.Chamberlain University. Belong to something greater. Certified to operate by Chev.
Less than 48 hours after the murder of Andre Brown, detectives have a suspect in custody. 73-year-old Oscar Evans.
The case looked very strong, given an eyewitness naming a suspect.
Andre's girlfriend, 52-year-old Helen Frazier, made the identification.
The entire basis for Oscar Evans being charged with murder was Helen's very detailed and consistent testimony.
However, even though an arrest has been made, the detectives' work is far from over.
It's at that point that law enforcement must go forth and find evidence that would corroborate the detailed accounts that Helen had provided to them.
Detectives begin by going door to door in Andre and Helen's neighborhood.
They went to nearby businesses to look for security footage that would show the suspect in the area heading toward Andre's house.
Oscar didn't have a car, so he walked everywhere.
But the canvas comes up empty.
None of the neighbors detectives talked to recalled seeing Oscar in the area that afternoon.
Detectives also strike out with the security video.
When they obtained that security footage, there was no sign of this suspect going to or from Andre's house.
The detectives could not find any evidence that would connect Oscar to the scene of the murder.
Is it possible Helen made a mistake when she identified Oscar as the killer?
According to her statement, she was in the kitchen the entire time leading up to the murder.
If Helen had witnessed the crime, why was there no other evidence of Oscar being there?
It's clear to detectives they need to speak to Helen again because they found no evidence that could corroborate the story that she gave them on the day of the crime.
Hoping they missed something the first time, detectives bring Helen in for a second statement.
They confronted her with the fact that security cameras didn't show the suspect coming or going to the house.
She totally changes her story at that point.
Helen, we need you to tell us what really happened the day that Andre was stabbed.
I know, I'm sorry. It wasn't Oscar that came to the house that day.
She admitted that he had nothing to do with it.
Helen then pointed the finger of blame at Duke Hines.
It was Duke.
According to Helen, it was Duke Hines, not Oscar Evans, who'd come to the house that afternoon.
So story number 2 from Helen was that Andre had returned home with this second suspect. She claimed that Andre and the second suspect had gone upstairs to smoke crack cocaine. She knew that, she said, because she could smell it.
Once again, Helen says that an argument ensued.
She's now saying that it wasn't this disagreement over the $8. It was now some sort of drug deal.
They came to the house together, Andre and Duke. They went upstairs, and the next thing I know is I hear Duke accusing Andre of stealing from him.
Helen says that she could hear the two men shouting upstairs.
But this time, Helen says it was Andre who escalated the situation.
Andre then went down to the kitchen and armed himself with a knife.
He wasn't gonna hurt Duke, he was just trying to scare him to get him to leave.
According to Helen, when Andre confronted Duke, his plan went horribly wrong.
Duke took the knife from Andre and stabbed him.
The two men struggle, and according to Helen, suspect number 2 quickly disarms Andre, stabs him, throws the knife in the sink, and leaves the house.
That's the first time that we hear that this knife that was found in the sink was the murder weapon.
Horrified that they've arrested the wrong man, detectives ask Helen why she tried to pin the murder on Oscar.
I was afraid of what Duke might do to me if I told you all the truth.
Helen was desperate. She was really nervous about what would happen if Duke found out she was talking to the police.
But she had to tell them something, so she blamed Andre's death on Oscar Evans.
She explained that he had been disrespectful toward her in the past and had, in fact, she claimed, stolen a coat from her, so she was trying to get back at him.
She now says she's sorry she did it.
He was sitting in jail at the time she was speaking those words. As Helen's interview was still taking place, police left the room, contacted our office, and had us start the process of dismissing the charges.
County Attorney's Office dismissed the case, got him out of jail.
With Oscar Evans cleared, detectives begin searching for their new suspect.
They were able to ascertain that there were two living in Des Moines, but the one Duke Hines was living only a few blocks away from Andre and Helen's house, so they pretty much figured that that had to be the individual that she was talking about.
Brought in for questioning, Duke is initially reluctant to talk.
He didn't want to get framed or railroaded for a crime he didn't commit.
So how do you know Andre Brown and Helen Frazier?
Pressed by detectives, Duke denies having any contact with Helen or Andre, much less coming to their house.
I mean, I've seen them around town, but I wouldn't say I know them.
Duke claims to know even less about Andre's murder. In fact, he tells detectives he wasn't even in town when the murder occurred.
Where were you the afternoon of January 2nd?
I drive a truck. I was out of town that day.
He was the truck driver that was actually on the road, gassing up his rig at about the time of the stabbing.
You can check my truck logs.
When detectives contact the trucking company, they learn Duke's story holds up.
Based on the evidence that the police found, there was no way that Duke could have been at the house.
Helen Frazier has twice identified a suspect in the murder of Andre Brown, and investigators have established that neither of the men were involved in the crime, which tells detectives one thing.
Something's up, something's not right.
Helen had to be hiding something.
In the aftermath of her boyfriend Andre Brown's death, 52-year-old Helen Frazier has falsely accused two different men of his murder.
Detectives even arrested one of them, Oscar Evans, who sat in jail for several days on murder charges.
The second man Helen accused of the crime was a truck driver named Duke Hines.
Duke provided the police an alibi that they were able to actually confirm.
Investigators know that Helen is intentionally sending them in the wrong direction.
They're dealing with someone who's lying to them at every turn.
Despite that, detectives have little choice but to go back to her.
They brought Helen in for a third interview. In interview number 3, Helen changes her story dramatically again.
The real murder, according to her, was this guy named Mark Keegan, a drug dealer in Chicago.
I'm just so scared.
Now the story was that Andre Brown was a drug dealer and had received drugs from Keegan, sold them and used some of them, but didn't have enough money to pay Mark Keegan back. So Keegan stabbed him.
Helen says she was afraid that if Mark found out she told police the truth, he'd kill her too.
She doesn't want Mark Keegan to be upset with her because she's scared of him.
But now she's ready to cooperate.
She gives us a specific address in Chicago.
The details are impressive, but not convincing.
Detectives are more than a little suspicious of Helen's new story.
You know we're gonna have to verify that information.
Yes, of course.
And if we find out that you're lying again, we're coming right back to you.
At this point, the police don't believe a word that she's saying, but they have to follow up on it.
Detectives spend the next few days attempting to locate Mark Keegan, but are unable to find anyone by that name.
Helen had tried to pin the murder on 3 different people, all of whom police had eventually ruled out as suspects.
Now investigators have a 4th suspect.
They had been suspicious of her prior to this interview, But after this interview, police start to investigate Helen.
Digging through records of police calls, detectives make an alarming discovery about her relationship with Andre.
They found that police had been called to Andre's home to deal with conflicts between Andre and Helen 5 different times between October of 2016 and January of 2017.
It was always Andre calling the police. It was never once Helen Frazier calling and saying she needed help.
The last call came on December 10th, 2016, not quite a month before Andre was murdered.
During this particular call in December, Helen and Andre were both very intoxicated. Andre was telling the officer that she was just tearing everything up. Just throwing everything everywhere.
But now that Andre's dead, detectives wonder if the tension between them had flared up again, and this time spiraled out of control.
Helen Frazier is somebody who has had several encounters with law enforcement before. He's had several convictions.
She had not only a criminal history, but a pretty astoundingly violent criminal history. She had some 6 prior assault convictions.
But there's no history of Helen ever trying to hurt Andre.
In previous calls where police came out to the house, Andre never made mention of Helen assaulting him.
Hoping to learn more, detectives reach out to the man Helen originally accused of killing Andre, his friend, Oscar Evans, who's more than willing to point the finger back at Helen.
He tells us at this meeting that he witnessed a confrontation between Andre and Helen, where they were arguing, during which Helen actually gets out a knife and holds it, threatening at Andre.
After that, that's when I decided I had to find someplace else to go.
Detectives now know that Helen was capable of pulling a knife on Andre. But did she wield the knife that killed him? The results from the forensic lab don't give a definitive answer.
The knife that was the suspected murder weapon was thrown into a sink full of dirty dishes that was filled with warm, soapy water. So the police were not able to get any forensic evidence in the form of DNA or fingerprints.
With forensics a dead end, detectives shift their focus to retracing Andre's movements leading up to the murder.
In Helen's statement, she has said that Andre had walked to a nearby convenience store to buy beer and cigarettes.
Which means the clerk was probably one of the last people Andre spoke to before he died.
Detectives locate the convenience store clerk and ask him for a statement.
Do you remember who was working at the gas station on January 2nd?
Yeah, that was me.
Do you remember seeing this man?
While they were talking, Andre said he's having this argument with his girlfriend.
The clerk said that Andre thought Helen was taking advantage of him.
That morning before he died, he was up at the gas station telling somebody that people come in your house and they take over. And I think that was the issue with her. She was trying to take over Andre's house.
And according to the clerk, Andre had had enough.
He said he wanted her gone.
He's going to have to kick her out later that day.
Did a confrontation between Andre and Helen end in violence?
This information seemed pretty significant to the detectives because if Andre kicked Helen out, she had no place else to go.
She has been homeless before. She didn't want to be homeless again.
Detectives believe they've found a motive for Helen to stab Andre, but they'll need more evidence to make an arrest.
The police took a look at the cell phone history of Helen's phone from the day of the murder.
What they found was, of course, a 911 call. They knew that phone call had been made.
But it's the call Helen makes right before that makes detectives take note.
Immediately before the 911 call, Helen had been on the phone with her mother for some 11 minutes. She hangs up with her mother and then very quickly calls 911.
The timing between the two calls was 40 seconds, and that leads detectives to an inescapable conclusion.
We do not think that the stabbing could have happened in that 40 seconds.
And the short time between those two phone calls didn't seem like it was enough time for an argument to develop and a stabbing to take place.
Helen must have called her mother after Andre was stabbed.
For that 11 minutes, Andre was lying on the ground, bleeding to death, before she hung up with her mother and called 911.
What did Helen say during her call with her mother?
The police knew that they needed to speak to Helen's mother.
Helen had essentially confessed.
Stay tuned as we navigate through the unpredictable twists and turns of this staggering episode.
More than 2 weeks after someone stabbed Andre Brown to death in his Des Moines, Iowa home, detectives suspect that his girlfriend, 52-year-old Helen Frazier, struck the fatal blow.
We had a suspect that had falsely implicated 2 different real people and a third imaginary person that she appears to have made up.
And now detectives have made a suspicious discovery about the moments leading up to Helen's 911 call reporting the stabbing.
They find this 11-minute phone call with her mother right before calling 911.
To find out what Helen said during that call, detectives contact her mother.
They tracked her down in Chicago, and 2 investigators drove to Chicago to do an interview with Helen's mother. That interview was long, it was confusing, it was garbled. Clearly, Helen's mother did not want to implicate her in criminal conduct.
But she also doesn't want to lie to the police.
She reluctantly acknowledges that when she talked to Helen that day, Helen had essentially confessed to her that she had stabbed Andre. And Helen's mother said that she advised Helen to call 911.
When detectives bring Helen in for another interview, her 4th, she admits to making the call.
Why wasn't the first call after the stabbing to 911?
I was scared. I didn't know what to do.
She admitted that she did make that phone call before calling 911, and she said it lasted maybe a minute.
When they confront her with the fact that the phone call was 11 minutes and 14 seconds, kind of locks up and doesn't have a good explanation for that.
You need to start telling us the truth.
Caught in another lie, Helen makes one last attempt to explain herself.
She says she has no memory of what happened that day.
But for Helen, it's too little, too late.
The police arrest her for the murder of Andre Brown.
Helen's arrest is bittersweet for Andre's family.
He was helping her. He let her move in with him. And then you kill him for helping you? And then you lie about it?
Helen's repeated lies present a challenge for the defense when she goes on trial at the end of January 2019. But instead of facing a jury, Helen opts to let a judge decide her fate in a bench trial.
Frequently, a defendant will agree to have a bench trial when there are pieces of the case that a jury is likely to react to emotionally. Helen's repeated lies were that type of emotional evidence.
Going before a judge removes any possibility for emotion or bias from the equation.
Prosecutors open their case by focusing on Helen's emotions on the afternoon of the murder.
Helen's motive was probably the fact that Andre was telling her again to get out of the house. She was cooking a holiday meal to share with Andre, so I'm sure it was unusually offensive that he was telling her to get out of the house while she was cooking this meal.
That was just too much. It was the straw that broke the camel's back.
She was just not going, period. No matter what Andre did, she was not leaving.
According to the prosecution, in a moment of rage, Helen stabbed Andre in the chest with a kitchen knife.
I don't even think she meant to stab him where she stabbed him. And I think she meant to scare him. But it just went too far.
However, the prosecution argues that once Helen stabbed Andre, instead of trying to save him, she called her mother.
The phone call to her mother after the stabbing was inflicted was a critical piece of evidence to show intent and malice. She let Andre lay on the floor, bleeding for 11 minutes and 14 seconds before she called 911.
And she didn't make the call until she had her first false accusation ready.
It was a woman who not only ended the life of her boyfriend, she immediately turned around and pointed the finger at somebody else who she knew to be totally innocent.
This guy that owed him some money or something, he stabbed him.
When it's the defense's turn, Helen takes the stand and tells yet another story, this time claiming she acted in self-defense.
We had nothing other than Helen's testimony to substantiate a claim of self-defense. And by that time, Helen had been so wildly inconsistent that her testimony just wasn't worth very much.
The presiding judge agrees, and on February 15th, 2019, delivers a verdict.
The judge issued a written ruling finding Helen guilty of murder in the second degree.
She was sentenced to 50 years, but at least 35 years before she'll be eligible for parole.
Although for Andre's family, no amount of prison time will make up for what Helen took from them.
The thing about homicide cases is, in the end, there's no winner. We've still got a victim of violent crime that died. We've still got family members that lost a loved one.
And Andre's family can't forget that he was killed by someone he'd taken in and given a home.
It started out as a kindness that ended in him being stabbed to death by the person that he was trying to help. It turns you cold. It really does.
The heart-wrenching story of the murder of Andre Brown has finally come to an end after detectives made an alarming discovery that led to solving the case amidst constant lies and bold deceit. When a person dies, those left behind are left with memories. Andre Brown's family will always remember his caring nature and the goodness he saw in others. Coming up on the next episode of the Fatal Attraction Podcast.
She was the woman who had it all.
She loved what she did. She loved her husband. She loved her children.
So why would she disappear without a trace?
It wasn't like her to just up and walk away. I had that gut feeling something's wrong. There's some type of foul play going on.
Prepare to become fully engrossed as we delve into a heart-wrenching story that will have you on an emotional journey like no other. What happened to Kayla Ashford, and what happens when love becomes fatal? Tune in to the next episode of the Fatal Attraction Podcast. We will see you in the next episode.